All right, Shalom. Before I continue with this lesson, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother lawyer, and I teach with the Great Millstone National Camp. Come back with a quick lesson. In this lesson, I don't have a title for it as of right now, but I had took a screenshot of this video that I was listening to. I think I actually listened to it yesterday. But it was dropped the 24th. And as you see, Huckabee can explain we're gonna say the small hats right to Israel land. All right. Yeah. Huckabee can explain the small hats right to Israel land. All right. And so when you play this video, Tucker Carlson is asking, he's questioning him about, them being over there in the land, which everybody's finding out that they're not supposed to be in the land. But starting with our apostles and elders, they've been telling you that. Really, the scriptures have been telling you that. The Lord got his men set up to tell y'all what's to happen in the last days. Give me a second. And so we're gonna go right into it. I'm not, like I said, it's a screenshot. You can watch this video from the Jimmy Dore show, and they actually got the you can actually type in what's his nigga name? Tucker Carlson. As Mike Huckabee, I think his nigga name is Mike. About the Ish people. And so yeah, they're not supposed to be in the land, and they don't have no rights to the land. And another side note, they are Shemitic. And I was looking at another video that was talking about where they're not Shemitic. Yes they are, but they're the sons of Esau. So let's get Ezekiel. This ain't gonna be no long lesson. Ezekiel 35, I believe. Or is it 35? Let's see. No, it's not. It's in Ezekiel. I think it's Ezekiel 36. Yeah, Ezekiel 36 and 5. It says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea." Idumea is a Greek word of saying Edom. "Which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for prey." So they possess the land of Israel. The Edomites. That's what Ezekiel 36 and 5 said. And there's another one too. It says they parted my land. I think that's in Joel. Yep, Joel 3 and 2. It says, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat," says Jehoshaphat in the Hebrews, Yehoshaphat, "and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So they parted the Lord's land unto themselves, and they have scattered the actual Israelites. All right, they're the ones. Psalm 82. 82 or 83? 83, my fault. Yeah, Psalm 83. All these nations played a role in the taking the actual Israelites down. And hell, the small hats, the Ish people, they builded the slave ships. So Psalm 83 and 2, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy hidden ones. Well, Salaki, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, the Israelites. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And then it lists these different nations. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So these other nations, especially Tucker Carlson, he's an Edomite, and Jimmy Dore, I presume that he's an Edomite. All these other nations, they play a role in keeping us down, not telling us who we are. That's what they've done. It says the tabernacles of Edom, it starts with them first, the Edomites. The ones that's over there in the land, they're those are Amalek. They're the first of the nations. They have they own America, half of it. Well, ain't no half, they own all of America. They the reason why these different wars get started. They're rich as hell. They're richer than the Edomites over here in America. Amalek is, I believe, the grandson of Esau. It says the tabernacles of Edom, so-called white people, but not all white people are Edomites. Some of them are going to go back to the line of Jacob. It says Ishmael, which those are the Arabs. Moab is the Chinese, the Hagarenes or the Africans. It says Gabal and Ammon. Ammon is the Japanese. Gabal, that's another Ishmaelite group. It says Amalek. Amalek is the small hats. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, the Africans. Ashur also is joined with them. And that's another Shemitic people, whether they in Assyria or Iraq. It says they have hope in the children of Lot, Selah, and so all these different nations, they're here today. The thing is, Esau got them covered with their covering cast. Like how it states in Isaiah, he got a covering cast over the people. That covering cast is you going by African American, Palestinian, Saudi Arabian, Jordanian, which really everybody stems from one of the sons of Ham, Shem, Japheth. Today you're named after the land that you live in. Or you're a Chinese American, Black American, Jamaican, but really you go back, if you're a so-called actual, if you're a Negro, you will go right back. I mean, technically you will go right back to an Israelite. That's not the case today. Because you got tares among us. You got tares among all nations. You got somebody that can look like you, but they're not from your lineage. I mean, not your lineage. Your bloodline, your nation. They can be a so-called Edomite, a chocolate-covered Edomite. So that's why when the Lord comes back, or the angels, they're gonna do the sifting. Because they know the Lord and the angels. They know who's theirs. Who's the Israelites, who's the 2/3 Israelite, who's the 1/3. They know all that. Who's the heathen? They know all that. So let's keep going. So these other nations, they're going to be punished. All nations are going to be punished. All right. And then, of course, basic scriptures, Revelation 2. Basic scriptures. Or classic. Revelation 2. And let's see. 9. I know that works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Then I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now, before these other pastors started knowing about the Edomites, really, these other pastors, they learned from, it's like when I was going to stop though, they learned from the Hebrew Israelites. So yeah, they gonna know who the Edomites are today, and so on and so forth. But we started bringing this out first, starting with our apostles and elders. Now, the correct breakdown for I know that word tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy in which said they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. This is actually was talking about the Jews at that time, our people over there in the land that was being of Satan, that was being wicked, but not all of our people hated the Lord. And so today, yeah, I know that works, tribulation or hardship, poverty. The small hats over there, they're not in poverty, they're rich. They got their own communities. They're rich, Just like the Rothschilds, Red Shield. Shield of Edom, They're rich. They're so-called Jewish, and they helped them get into the land via the Balfour Declaration. After World War One, then after World War Two. So give me a second. Drinking coffee. So yeah, that's how they got the land. Balfour Declaration. Give me 1 second. Let's get this. Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. So a bastard, shall dwell in Ashdod. That's the city over there in Israel today. A bastardized people live in that land today because they don't have no connections to the land. They don't have no connections to the Heavenly Father. Do you have Israelites amongst the small hat community? Yeah, you do. They don't know that. They might hear the gospel and they believe, then yeah, because faith come by hearing of the word. When it's properly taught and broken down, and it's only going to be broken down properly via the Hebrew Israelites. Now some guys are off. They go off and teach wayward shit. But for the majority of the nation of our people, we're going to tell you who we are, and who you are possibly. We go off the spirit here, Great Millstone and like-minded camps. You're not going to see a so-called white person and off the top, you Edomite. No, it says try the spirits whether they are of God. So you're supposed to test the spirit. Hey, where you from? What's your father's lineage? Oh yeah, I'm Irish. Sicilian. Oh, that's what it is. Because we know our people. Even in the world, Jake know who their people is. I was looking at a show the other day, and there's this Japanese guy that was like he was a hitman. He was a security guy and a hitman. And guess who was around? Guess who he worked for? And guess who he was around? Jake. And so one of the women that he was protecting, she was like, because it was her and her sister. Her sister was like, girl, he Japanese. She was like, yeah, Japa nigga. Like he a nigga. He ain't. They're not finna let no, just a Japanese guy work for them. No, you got to be a nigga to work for a nigga. And the girl asked him, said, so Japa nigga, what's your lineage? He was like, yes, I am Japanese. Then he said, black and such. And she was like, yeah, Japa nigga. Like, quit playing with me. That's what she said, And he didn't deny it. Shit. It's like that. And so yes, I'm gonna get that. And then give me 1 second. One second. What the fuck is going on? right, 1 second. Slocky. Tripping. Because, this word is going to be magnified real soon. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet and know that I have loved thee. So soon it's going to be announced and known who the actual people of the Lord is. And you're going to be made to worship and serve the real Israelites, and we're not going to be like how we are right now in these bodies, these humanly bodies. We're going to have heavenly bodies, like how it says in 1 Corinthians 15:50. And we're going to be changed. Lord, will we the elect? Because only the elect going to get that on this side. And then when the Lord comes back, he comes back to a kingdom that's ruled by Edom alongside these other nations. Daniel 2. And 44, it says, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. So you smart hats over there, the kingdom's not going to be left for you. Y'all on the land, that land's going to get hit and then be rebuilt right back up. Yeah, via ICBMs. It says, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So these other nations are going to get taken down. When the God of heaven set up his kingdom, then the Israelites will be reestablished on the earth. That's what's getting ready to happen. Make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, that's what's getting ready to happen. Deuteronomy 33:29. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Yahweh, the shield of thy help, who is the sword of thy excellency. And thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. So yeah, our enemies are found to be liars. You can't explain their right to the land of Israel. And then it was another video talking about some they Canaanites. No, they're not. The small hats over there are not Canaanites. Now the land, of course, his original name is the land of Canaan. But they're not Canaanites. Now they were born in the land. Jacob, Isaac, had Jacob and Esau. We were born in the land and so forth. So yeah, they do have some type of background going back to that time with being, from that region. Yeah, they are brothers, Jacob and Esau, of course. But today, if you saying that, they're Esau, well then who is Jacob then? You can't say that the Palestinians are Jacob, because they're not. They're Ishmaelites. So who's Jacob? If they're Esau, who is Jacob? And Jacob is over here. Jacob is over here fulfilling prophecy via Ezekiel. That plank. Let me get there. I'm gonna close this out. All right, let me see. Ezekiel 30, that's where it is, Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel 37, we get the main point. Yeah, because Come on now. Because it's prophesied that, you know, the Israelites will wake up. They won't remember their heritage. They will remember who they were. According to y'all always knew who the fuck y'all was. You know, red flag. All right, give me 1 second. That coffee tastes nasty. All right, Ezekiel 37. The small hats, they didn't do this. They didn't do this right here. So Ezekiel 37. And this deals with the valley of dry bones. You know, basically the Israelites waking up was in a dead state, pursuant to Revelation 11. The great bodies shall lay in roughly paraphrasing, and their dead bodies shall lay in the streets of the great city, representing us being dead, us not knowing who we were. All we Black, Hispanic, Latino. You know, we're not being called by Israel no more, that their names may be no more remembered. The name of Israel, yeah, that's what happened. So Ezekiel 37 and let me get the main point. 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, for all the house of Israel his companions. So that's the chart. That's what you have right there. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, you know, then on down with the northern kingdom, so-called Puerto Ricans, Ephraim, on down, Manasseh, Cubans. It says, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And it says, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by this? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and there shall be one in thy hand. And the sticks thereon, or the sticks whereon thou writest, shall be in thy hand before thine eyes. Right? It says, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord, behold, Lord power, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. So that ain't happened yet. So why the fuck are y'all over there? You see? The Balfour Declaration. So with that, I pray that this was an edifying lesson. Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Makakudah, Shalom.